Section 28 of The Golden Web by Phillips OPPENHEIM. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Book 2, Chapter 7. Hefferom is Optimistic. Ruby Sinclair leaned forward and touched her companion's back as they flew through the village of Rakney. "Look," said she, "you see that cottage we are just passing? That is where I have lived for the last 4 years." Hefferom followed her outstretched fingers. He saw the little grove of bare trees and the marshland stretching out beyond to the bare sea. "Winter and summer?" he asked. "Winter and summer." He nodded. "About time you went fortune hunting," he said. No other word passed between them until they reached the railway station. They descended from the car and watched it almost immediately swing round and disappear. "So this is the end of our little excursion to Rakney," Ruby remarked. "Yes," Hefferom answered. "Aren't you satisfied?" "Why should I be?" she asked. "What have we gained?" Hefferom drew a long breath. "Ah, I forgot," he said. "You don't understand." He drew her into the refreshment room. She declined to drink, but she sat in a corner while he disposed of several whiskies and sodas. At first he would say nothing, and she waited. Presently he began. "You think," he said, "that I was a coward because when Deane bundled us off in his car and told the man to drive us to the nearest railway station, I did not protest? You think that I should have made a scene there? It wasn't worth while. Deane's coming gave the whole game away. Don't you really understand?" "Not a word," she answered. "Listen, then. Stirling Deane is the man who is supposed to be the owner of the Little Anna Gold Mine, which was really your Uncle Sinclair's." She looked at him with gleaming eyes. "Say that again," she said. "I don't quite understand." "The deed which is missing from your Uncle Sinclair's effects," Hefferom said slowly, "is the title deed to the Little Anna Gold Mine. That mine was illegally taken possession of by Stirling Deane. He sold it to the company, of which he is now president, at an enormous price. He is the man with whom your Uncle Sinclair came to England to treat. Sinclair was murdered. By whom? By Rowan. Who was at the back of Rowan? Whose tool was he? We know. Chance this afternoon made everything clear to us. Can't you see that Rowan killed your uncle and stole that deed to save Stirling Deane from ruin at his bidding as his accomplice?" "It takes my breath away," the girl murmured. "Now I think of it, of course, it is Deane's cottage they are in. He was there by himself only a few weeks ago. It was through him that we heard of my uncle's murder." "The whole thing's as simple as ABC," Hefferom declared. "Can't you see that Deane has given himself into our hands? Of course Rowan stole the deed. Of course Deane has it. He will have to pay for our silence. By God, he will have to pay." The girl looked up from her seat on the leathern couch, looked at her companion long and critically. "Do you think we can hold our own against a man like Stirling Deane?" "It depends upon the cards, and they are in our hands. We must go back to London. We must wait till he is at his office. Then I will see him. You can leave the thing in my hands now. I shall know how to approach him. He cannot deny his friendship with the Rowans. They are occupying even at this moment his own cottage. Very likely I shall be able to discover other things connecting him with them. The newspapers you showed me spoke of great influence which was brought to bear on the granting of the reprieve. We may find that Stirling Deane was at the back of that. Anyhow, he is connected closely enough with them. I am here ready to swear that when Sinclair left Africa he left with the original title deed of the Little Anna Gold Mine in his pocket. I think that the friendship between his murderer and Stirling Deane, who sold that mine for close upon £1,000,000, is the thing that will need a little explanation." "And in the meantime," said the girl bitterly, "we are starving." "Not quite," he answered. "We have 38 shillings. That will take us back to London and find us rooms somewhere for the night. We must scrape along somehow until I can get to Deane's offices." "You are not forgetting," the girl remarked, "that the 38 shillings you are speaking of is my property?" "We are partners," Hefferom declared. "You shall carry the purse if you will, but there is no object in it." "You seem to do most of the spending," she reminded him. If you think we can afford it," she added, glancing at his empty glasses, "I should like a cup of tea." He ordered it at once and sat down by her side. "Look here," he said, "I don't see what you want to be so bloomin' stand off for. Times are a bit rough with us just now, but you mark my word, we shall pull through all right. This man Deane is in the hollow of our hands. He has been Rowan's accomplice. No one who knows the facts could possibly doubt it. A word from us would ruin him." The girl sighed. She had drawn a little away from the man. "Do you believe then," she asked, "that Mr. Deane has the deed?" "Either that or it is destroyed," answered Hefferom. "But don't bother about that. Whether the deed is still existing or not, we know enough to make it worth his while to buy us, even though it cost him half his fortune." "In the meantime," the girl said, "please get the tickets. The train will be in a few minutes." "Come with me," he said suspiciously. "Remember, we're partners." "Oh, we're partners right enough," she answered, rising and following him out of the place. "You needn't be afraid that I am going to let you go. Just now you are all that stands between me and a return to Rakney." On the way up to town he began to build castles. He was optimistic, sanguine in the extreme. The girl listened almost stolidly. Her companion had begun to depress her. He was badly dressed. His linen was soiled. His imitation jewelry was hideous. He sat opposite her in the train, and there were things in his face from which she shrank. She was more than thankful that they were not alone. "Are you tired or what?" he asked at last, a little sullenly. "Surely I've made it all plain enough. You don't doubt that there's money in this for us?" "There should be," she admitted slowly, "and yet " "And yet what?" "I have seen Mr. Deane before," she said hesitatingly. "I have talked with him once or twice. Somehow or other, when I think that it may come to be a struggle between you and him " He interrupted her with a brazen laugh. "You think I won't be able to stand up against him? Well, you shall see. There's a good deal in holding the cards, you know." "You haven't the deed," she reminded him. "I don't want it," he answered. "I'm not afraid of Stirling Deane. I have known him a good many years, and he knows me. We are up against one another now, and you may fancy his chances, but I tell you my back's against the wall, and his isn't. He's there fighting in the open. I've got him. I tell you I've got him." She half closed her eyes. This was not the way in which she had hoped to come into her fortune. In her heart she could not believe a word he said. Deane was a strong man. Hefferom, she was already beginning to discover, was nothing but a bully and a craven. If it came to a duel between the two, she found it easier to believe that Hefferom would be worsted. At King's Cross Station they separated. Hefferom, a little sulkily, accepted his dismissal and parted with half of the money which he had. "You can go where you choose," she said. "You can come back to Mrs. Towsley's if you like. But I tell you frankly that except while we are on business, I think it better that we should stay apart." "I can't see why," he muttered. "For one thing," she said, "we might be taken for adventurers. I do not know much about the law, but it seems to me you won't be very far out of its clutches when your negotiations with Mr. Deane begin." "I can take care of myself," he answered gruffly. "Can I see you back to the old lady's, anyhow?" "No," she answered. "I would rather go alone." "Come and have one drink in the refreshment room, just to wish ourselves luck," he begged. She went in with him and drank a cup of coffee. He had 2 liqueurs and would have had much more, but she dragged him sharply away. "Remember," she said, "that I have nothing more I can raise money on. These few shillings are all we have. If Mr. Deane does not return for several days, we must leave." "Deane will come back," he said, with a defiant laugh. "I let him have things his own way to day, but he knows just where he is. Mark my words, he will be at the office to morrow morning, and he will be there expecting to see me." Section 28.